The rain pattered against the ground, creating a soothing rhythm. I stirred, slowly regaining consciousness. My eyes fluttered open, taking in the unfamiliar surroundings. Confusion set in as I realized I was lying on the wet grass. What happened? How did I get here? I attempted to sit up, feeling a slight resistance from my exoskeleton. It was then that the memories came flooding back. I had been walking home when I slipped on the slick pavement. The fall must have knocked me out. But as I examined myself, I was amazed to find no damage to my protective outer shell. Little did I know, this fall would be the beginning of a journey that would challenge everything I thought I knew about human evolution. As I made my way home, still shaken from the fall, I couldn't help but reflect on the molting process. It was a crucial part of our lives, a rite of passage that marked our growth and development. Every few years, we would shed our old exoskeleton to make way for a new, larger one. I remembered my first molt vividly, the itching sensation as my old shell began to split, the vulnerability I felt as I emerged, soft and defenseless, from my old exoskeleton, the hours spent waiting for my new shell to harden, exposed and afraid. It was a challenging experience, but one that every human went through. The molting process was more than just physical growth. Little did I know my understanding of human evolution was about to be turned on its head. The next day, despite the lingering unease from my fall, I found myself at the annual Sledding Races. It was a beloved event in our community, a chance to showcase the strength and durability of our exoskeletons. The races were a thrilling spectacle, with participants hurtling down steep, icy slopes at breakneck speeds. As I stood at the starting line, I couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement and trepidation. The cold wind whipped against my exoskeleton, a reminder of the protection it provided. I looked around at my fellow racers, their shells gleaming in the winter sun. We were all eager to put our biological armor to the test. The starting horn blared, and we were off. The world became a blur of white as we rocketed down the slope. Little did I know, this sense of superiority was about to be challenged in ways I could never have imagined. A few days after the sledding race, I found myself at the hospital for a routine checkup. The waiting room was bustling with activity, filled with people of all ages. Their exoskeletons gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, a sea of hard, protective shells. As I waited for my name to be called, something caught my eye. A man was being wheeled in on a gurney, surrounded by a flurry of medical staff. At first glance, nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but as they passed by me, I noticed something strange. The man's body seemed soft, pliable. It lacked the rigidity I was accustomed to seeing. The man had no exoskeleton. His body was covered in a strange, flexible material called skin. Little did I know, this chance encounter would be the beginning of a journey that would reshape my understanding of human evolution and the very nature of our existence. The sight of the man without an exoskeleton haunted me. I couldn't shake the image from my mind. Questions swirled in my head, demanding answers. How was it possible? What did it mean for our understanding of human biology? I knew I had to find out more, even if it meant breaking a few rules.
Under the cover of night, he snuck back into the hospital. His heart raced as he navigated the dimly lit corridors, his exoskeleton clicking softly against the polished floors.
I had overheard the nurses mentioning that the strange man was being kept in a secure wing of the hospital. That's where I needed to go.
As he approached the restricted area, he heard voices. Quickly, he ducked into a nearby supply closet.
Once the coast was clear, I slipped out of the closet and made my way to the doctor's office. I knew it was wrong, but my thirst for knowledge overrode my sense of ethics.
The file was a treasure trove of information, filled with medical jargon and detailed diagrams.
The man without an exoskeleton wasn't an anomaly. He was a throwback to our distant ancestors, a living example of an evolutionary path not taken.
According to the notes, humans had once possessed internal skeletons, or endoskeletons. These structures provided support from within, allowing for greater flexibility and range of motion. But somewhere along the evolutionary timeline, a mutation had occurred. Our ancestors had developed external skeletons which offered superior protection in a harsh environment.
The doctor's notes were filled with excitement and wonder. This discovery had the potential to revolutionize our understanding of human evolution. It raised questions about the trade-offs between protection and flexibility, between safety and adaptability. Could there be advantages to an internal skeleton that we had overlooked? The implications were staggering.
Armed with this new knowledge, he became obsessed with understanding more about internal skeletons. He spent hours in the library poring over ancient texts and evolutionary studies.
Internal skeletons, it turned out, offered a range of advantages that our exoskeletons couldn't match. For one, internal skeletons allowed for greater flexibility and range of motion.
Creatures with internal skeletons could bend and twist in ways we could only dream of.
Moreover, internal skeletons were living tissue, capable of healing and adapting over time. Our exoskeletons, while durable, were essentially dead material.
Internal skeletons, on the other hand, could repair themselves, growing stronger in response to stress and strain.
Perhaps most intriguingly, internal skeletons allowed for more efficient growth. The more he learned, the more he began to question whether our exoskeletons were truly the pinnacle of evolutionary design. My newfound knowledge burned within me, demanding action. I couldn't simply sit on this information. I had to do something to contribute to our understanding of this evolutionary mystery. With trepidation and excitement, I approached the hospital administration, confessing my illicit nighttime exploration and expressing my desire to assist in the research.
To my surprise and relief, they didn't punish me for my transgression. Instead, they recognized my passion and curiosity as valuable assets. They offered me a position as a research assistant on the Internal Skeleton project.
My days became filled with fascinating work. I assisted in conducting physical tests on the man with the internal skeleton, marveling at his range of motion and the subtle play of muscles beneath his skin. We were piecing together a puzzle that had the potential to rewrite our understanding of human evolution and biology.
As our research progressed, we began to grapple with the broader implications of our discoveries. The emergence of individuals with internal skeletons wasn't just a fascinating biological anomaly. It represented a potential fork in the evolutionary road, a new path that our species might take.
Dr. Ilara, the lead researcher on the project, posited an intriguing theory. She suggested that the reappearance of internal skeletons might be nature's response to changing environmental pressures.
This theory was supported by our observations of the individuals with internal skeletons. They demonstrated remarkable problem-solving abilities and adaptability.
However, the implications weren't all positive. Those with internal skeletons were more vulnerable to physical injury. They lacked the innate armor that had protected our species for countless generations. The future of our species hung in the balance, and the choices we made now would shape the course of human evolution for generations to come.
As our research continued, we began to explore ways to harness the benefits of both internal and external skeletons. Nature, in its infinite wisdom, had provided us with two remarkable solutions to the challenge of bodily support and protection.
We began experimenting with bioengineered exoskeletons that could be worn by those with internal skeletons. These artificial shells provided the protection of a traditional exoskeleton while allowing for the flexibility and adaptability of an internal skeleton.
At the same time, we explored genetic therapies that could potentially give those of us with exoskeletons some of the advantages of internal skeletons.
These endeavors pushed the boundaries of science and ethics. We were not just studying evolution, we were actively seeking to influence it. The responsibility weighed heavily on us. We were potentially shaping the future of our species. We had to ensure that we did so wisely and with the utmost care for the consequences of our actions. As I stand here today, looking back on the journey that began with a simple fall in the rain, I am filled with a sense of wonder and anticipation. Our discoveries have opened up a new chapter in the story of human evolution, one filled with possibilities we are only beginning to understand.
The future of our species is no longer a simple linear path. We stand at a crossroads with multiple evolutionary trajectories stretching out before us.
These questions don't have easy answers. They challenge us to think deeply about what it means to be human, about the values we prioritize as a species. Do we value safety and protection above all else? Or do we prize adaptability and the ability to change?
As a scientist, I am thrilled by the possibilities that lie before us. As a human, I am humbled by the responsibility we bear. The next chapter in the human story awaits, and I, for one, can't wait to see what it holds.